Alright, hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm just going to kind of do an overall review of a lot of things that are going on around the club with different little topics here and there. So we'll make sure that we touch on any new signings, transfer market, just how the new guys are doing. We'll go over last game, we'll go over the upcoming games that are about to happen in the week. Overall, just kind of player thoughts, just happenings around Milan, just give an overall update. Try to do it weekly, maybe. We'll see how it goes just based on schedule-wise, but that would be the ideal goal, is to kind of see what the week has to bring and kind of just give an overall update. So let's actually start with the last game, which would be against Spezia. This was a game that, of course, Milan was expected to win, but Spezia has been really strong against the big teams in Serie A, and so you can't really take anything for granted against these teams. Now, you would have thought, just walking into this, that with our lineup we should have done fine because it's one of our strongest lineups that we can have, right? Besides Calabria, we essentially had exactly who we would have wanted. We had Donnarumma in goal, we had Dallo at right back, who came in for Calabria, we had Kjaer, Romagnoli, with more than adequate subs ready to go, Theo Hernandez at left back. We finally had Benacer, Kessié in the midfield, and Çalhanoğlu back at attacking mid. We had Rafael Leao out wide on the left, and Salamakers on the right, and Ibrahimovic up top. Ideally, you'd want Rebic on the left. So I think as far as the two things that you'd probably want Rebic on the left because Theo plays way better when Rebic is in the game, and you'd want Calabria in, but he was suspended. So those are the only two. Otherwise, we have a great little squad there. Problem is, you got a lot of guys coming back for their first little game here. So you've got Benacer coming in after he looked really, really rusty, getting a few minutes the week prior. I still think he may have been better off either subbing or playing like 45 minutes of the game. I'm not exactly sure though, because if you look at who we had available, if we don't have Tonali available, we're going to be playing Mate or Krunic, which is pretty dang bad. So I guess I can't really fault him there. Çalhanoğlu at attacking midfield, just kind of coming back. We do need to get minutes in his legs, so I guess I support it. I just think that maybe at some point he could have either been given a rest or been brought on at some point. So having too many new kind of faces there, and Kessié was pretty dang tired as well. You could see him. This is one of the first games we've seen Kessié not be a motor all game long, not be an engine all game long, and you saw his energy level start to fade. So overall, those are the kind of areas that I would look at to say, all right, maybe this isn't going to do the best. The bad thing is that that's all in midfield. That is the core, the crux of your team. And something that's very, very crucial about this game is watch how Spezia played it and how we responded to it. We don't do well against teams who play like this. So we ended up losing 2-0. The first goal was, I believe it was carried through midfield here after Theo Hernandez lost the ball. Benacer made a very terrible challenge. As opposed to just running with the ball carrier, which is exactly what he should have done, he made a terrible stabbing tackle at him, which to me screams a little bit of rust and not really being up to play speed at the time. Agudelo goes right by him, makes a nice pass out wide, ball goes back to Agudelo, they work it through the middle, and then Romagnoli makes a challenge that he got a lot of flack for, because when he made the challenge it went right across to Maggiore, who I believe was the goal scorer for Spezia. But if you look at that replay and actually look at what exactly happened, Romagnoli had to make that challenge. The midfield was completely lost, so of course they had nobody. Kessié was far upfield, Benacer made the bad challenge, and he tried to get back, but he just wasn't quick enough. Theo Hernandez lost the ball, so he was long gone. So that whole side was just completely screwed. Romagnoli made the challenge. If you pause it right where Romagnoli made the challenge with the Spezia attacker, Donnarumma is not on it yet. And people were giving him a lot of flack for, oh, Donnarumma would have saved that ball. You know, he was right next to it, he would have grabbed it. Not even close. He was at least 3 or so feet away, and so that was going to be a goal if Romagnoli didn't make the challenge, and so he had to. The really bad part is you see Benacer try to get back there. He couldn't get there on time, but then you see the two people on the right wing. You've got Salamakers and you've got Dallo, and nobody picks up Maggiore. Nobody does it. If they pick him up, that is not a goal. That is a saving tackle and challenge, and we are tied 0-0 still. You've got to track your man. Do not lose it. They saw Romagnoli go down for a sliding challenge, and they probably thought, all right, well, if he gets this, we're safe. If he doesn't, we're screwed. Well, guess what? You forgot about the third option. If he gets the tackle, but it rolls towards you. And so there's a little bit of laziness there on both of our right-sided players' parts. And it's Impossible to say if Calabria was there if he would have been marking, majority better. Probably, but either way, both Salamakers and Dalot, in my opinion, have the onus on that one. A lot of people gave flack to Romagnoli, but please do me a favor. Go and pause it exactly when the ball made contact there. Donnarumma is not close enough. He would not have saved that unless the Spezia player would have missed the goal. So that's goal number 1. Goal number 2 is just a ridiculous shot. If you look at it, there's 2 people who you can kind of say were at fault, but I really can. It was a fantastic shot. Mete did not close him down soon enough. Just a little bit sluggish off the line, not quick enough. He could have blocked that one, so partially at fault maybe. And Tomori, the ball was coming at him, and he decided to turn away from it and kick his little back leg out at it, as opposed to just kind of going towards it and shoving his head at it and trying to reach it. It seemed a very weak type of stab at it. I can't really blame him too much. It was a fantastic shot, but I just like to see defenders laying it out there for it. And when you got the ball coming towards you, don't turn your back and kick your foot out at it. Put your head there. Put your body there. You're trying to save a goal here. So I did not like that. So if you wanted to blame anybody, you could say Mete and Tomori, but it was a fantastic shot. So goal 2, it is what it is. Overall, Milan played terrible. I mean, I don't know. Did we even register a shot on goal, like a true shot on goal? I don't think we did. It was very anemic. Our players you would expected to play well, right? Benacer, Kessié, and Çalhanoğlu, they all played terrible, and usually you would expect them to be very, very solid and very good. But they were off, and not only that, we were playing against a team who was trying to stack the midfield. If you haven't noticed, this is exactly the type of team that does well against us. When you stack the midfield and we can't compete with it is when we typically struggle. Now this part is going to be on Pioli. That's going to be on Pioli for not having a good backup plan for when the game is going awry and we can't figure out how to combat this midfield pressure. It's not enough people in there. And if Hakan had dropped back or something and we were playing, more of a 3-man midfield, fine. But with playing the 4-2-3-1, it's just not enough. I would like to see us have 2 formations to switch into, whether it's a 4-man backline or a 3-man backline. I think you can make it work either way. You could do like a 3-4-1-2 and really tighten everything up and combat that, and just have Teo and Calabria more as advanced wing backs, which they're awesome at it anyways, so you're kind of gaining wingers right there anyways. I actually think it'd be pretty interesting. You have Romagnoli as your left center back, you've got Kjaer as your middle center back, and you've got Tomori now at the right center back position. And in my opinion, that's probably where he's best. He's super fast. He's a very good kind of one-on-one marker when the ball's there, but he's not so good positionally, and he's not so great in the air. If he's your right center back, he doesn't have to be that great at those things. So it kind of puts him in his ideal situation. So if we have a backup like that, I think the back 3 seems rock solid. And then you've got Gabia backing things up and Kalulu who can step in, so I think we're totally covered there. When you move into the midfield, Teo out wide on the left as a wing back. Then you can have either Kessié Kessié would be there for sure. But then you would have either Tonali or Benacer, whoever is more ready, covering midfield there. And then on the right would be Calabria. Now when Calabria gets tired of something, you could always put in Salamakers there. You could try Dalot there as well. And then when you move up a little further, you still have Çalhanoğlu playing in the hole in that Trequartista position as attacking mid. And then you have Ibrahimovic and probably Leao to play off each other there. And now Leao would have the freedom to drift wide and do his thing, or kind of drop back and play that kind of second striker center forward role. I feel like this is the way to go if we want to do a alternative formation with a 3-man back line that really complements us well, because it gives Teo a little bit more freedom. You also could have Rebic up top with Ibra as well, since Rebic can play as that kind of shadow striker and is a little bit more effective sometimes as playing off of each other as opposed to Leao. So I think it could definitely work, and that's probably what we should do when a team packs the middle. If we wanted to stick with a 4-man back line because Pioli may be uncomfortable with a 3-man when you rotate it in, you could just do a classic 4-man, stuff the midfield, and play more of like a classic 4-3-1-2 type of formation, with much more narrow. But now you're packing the midfield with 3 for sure midfielders, and Hakan will still bridge the gap at attacking mid, and he could defend a little bit too. So I think that's what we need to do. I hope Pioli does one of those 2 things going forward. Probably won't, because it seems like we just are going to stick with status quo. It's funny because everybody likes to give Antonio Conte a bunch of flack for never having a plan B, and I would agree. That's probably the main reason why they're eliminated from the Champions League, is because he didn't have a plan B. When a team knows how to combat his formation, he has no idea how to switch it up. So far, that seems to be the case with Pioli. We'll see. I'm very curious as to what goes on in the future. Overall, as I was saying, it was totally a midfield run over, and I actually believe the worst players on the pitch were the midfield anyways. Ibrahimovic got absolutely zero service. There was no creativity, and Hakan had a very surprisingly off game. So it's definitely one to kind of put behind us. Very, very disappointed about it. It's funny because a lot of people think differently than I do as far as like, which games should you prioritize, the big teams, the small teams. I actually think that you should put your best out there against all the small and medium teams because you got the best shot at locking up 3 points every single time. And then against the big teams, your guys are going to be up for it anyways. If you lose them, it is what it is, but you still have a good shot at tying or winning them. But if you're wrapping up 3 points over and over again against the small and medium teams, you're probably going to get first or second place in the league. It's just the way it's going to happen, unless somebody like Juve has just a blowout season. So that's past game. Next game going forward, we have a Europa League tie. It's going to be against Red Star Belgrade. They, I believe, are first in the league. I don't think they've lost a single game this season. I believe they're 19 wins and 2 draws. So they're on fire. And yes, while they come from a lesser league, the Serbian league, they're going to be tough. I know what I mean. Especially, I believe that we're playing away at first. It's going to be tough. And so this is not going to be a cakewalk. And it's a hard game to manage because we've got a massive game coming up after that, and that is the derby versus Inter. And so we're going to want to rest a couple players but still play a decently strong lineup here. Try not to risk any injuries for the Inter game coming up. So it's going to be a little bit tricky. I would have loved to see Hauga in this match, as he has not been so great in Serie A, but he has been fire in the Europa League so far. A little bit confusing to me as to why we took Krunic or Mete, who both, in my opinion, are not good players, over Hauga, who's been, actually, I believe he's the Europa League top scorer, or at least close to. So, strange, in my opinion. I get it based on, if we're looking purely from depth, but there's got to be somebody else that you can put in midfield. You could have brought a Primavera player up, somebody who can just play deputy to our main, roster there. So you could have left one of either Mete or Krunic behind and brought Hauga, in my opinion. But lo and behold, that's not who we have. So I do think that we should rest a couple key players here and kind of go from there. I think we should give Kalulu some minutes. I like this kid. I think he's going to be a real talent. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's fast. He's not like lightning quick or anything, but he's fast enough. He seems to be a decent athlete. He's kind of similar to Tomori in that his weaknesses is kind of marking without the ball and his marking crosses and aerial issues. But, he's super young. He's going to get better. So I'd really like to see him get some minutes. We'll probably see Dalot again for Teo on the left, which he's way better on the left than he is on the right. So we're probably going to see Kalulu and Dalot as our side backs. I think that's totally fine. Center backs, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do. We may run Tomori, and I think we probably should, just to get him some more minutes in his legs. And then I don't know what we're going to do for the other center back. Could be Romagnoli, could be Kjaer. I'm really unsure as to what we're going to do there. So we will see. Either way, though, we should probably get a couple more minutes into Benacer's legs, or if Tonali's fit into Tonali's legs. I think Kessié needs a rest big time. So I would rest Kessié and have him fresh and ready to go for Inter, because he has been our best midfielder all season long, and we just can't really afford to have him be tired like he was against Spezia. Between Tonali and Benacer, I really don't care who plays against Inter as long as they're both fit. I feel like normally I would choose Benacer, but with how he's been playing and he just seems a little bit sluggish after the injury, you just got to see who's performing better in practice and put them in as the starter. That's pretty much that. Of course, Hakan would have to play there in the game against Inter. So I would ideally like to see Brahim Diaz play at the attacking mid spot. That's another thing. I mean, we've never tried Hauga at attacking mid. I know that he's more of a left winger, but he's got the skills that one would think would translate decently to attacking mid. So once again, not sure why we left him out. So ideally, I'd like to see Brahim Diaz there against Red Star. I think this is probably the ideal game to start Mandzukic, give him an actual start up top and get some minutes in his legs, like some real minutes. Out wide on the right, you probably just start Castillejo. He's actually been playing pretty decent, especially in the Europa League. On the left, It's a little bit trickier. Would like to have Hauga there, but you know what? Let's probably just we'll probably play Leao, because I think that Rebic you're going to want for the derby. So you either start Rebic and then bring on Leao, halfway through the game, or you just start Leao and then just bring Rebic on the last few minutes just to get some good warm-up minutes in his legs before Inter. As far as looking forward to the Inter game, covered a little bit of it as far as what I'd like to see for a lineup, but I believe that we're going to see Donnarumma, Calabria. We're probably going to see Kaya Romagnoli, but I would be okay seeing Tomori Romagnoli. It would be interesting to run Kaya, but with his back the way that it is and it being kind of iffy, if it's any doubt at all for Kaya and he's not fully up to it, then I think we should try Tomori, because Tomori Romagnoli actually did very, very well in the derby. Romagnoli shut down Lukaku, which was surprising to me because he's been a little bit hit or miss this season. He either plays amazing or he has an off game, but he was awesome against Inter the last time. So we'll see if he can keep that up. I do believe that a player like Tomori, who's fast and can cover, is going to benefit both either Kaya or Romagnoli. So I would like to see that there if Kaya is not ready. If Kaya is ready, he's available, and he's feeling good, then Kaya is definitely the starter. He's been rock solid all season prior to the injuries, and so Kaya Romagnoli has been a great pairing for us typically. So if they're ready to go, that would be my preference. If there's any doubt, pop Tomori in for sure. Left back will, of course, be Theo Hernandez. That's pretty much a given. When you move into the midfield, Kessié for sure is there. I don't really care who starts between Benacer and Tonali. As I was saying, it really just depends on who is performing better, who is more fit and ready to go in practice. That's up to Pioli. Çalhanoğlu, of course, at the attacking mid spot. There's really nobody else. I mean, you have Brahim Diaz, you have Daniel Maldini, but I don't think any one of those would be ready to start in the derby. I mean, maybe Diaz would be ready, but I'd rather give it to Çalhanoğlu as long as he's feeling decent, because if he's playing on, he's a very, very good talent nowadays. Out wide on the left, this one's obvious. May not be so obvious to some, but to me, it's got to be Rebic. Every time Rebic plays, Theo Hernandez is a completely different player. He has to cover, I guess, a little bit less ground because Rebic actually does track back a decent amount, whereas Leao is a little bit sluggish and lazy in defense. He has been getting better, which has really impressed me, but Rebic is trickier. His chemistry with Theo is perfect. They're just a good duo on the left side, and you can see how much better Theo plays when Rebic is in. Also, it gives you the option to bring Leao on late, give you that nice injection of pace late if we need another goal, but Rebic has to start on the left. On the right side, it's going to be Salamakers. Once again, this has just always been a hole in our team. I don't know why we didn't sign somebody for the right side. We were looking at a couple different talents. I would take anybody over who we got right now. It looks like we're probably going to be bringing Florian Thauvin. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, so Salamakers is fine. I think he has to start. He's at least a good player. He's solid. He works hard for the team, but he's no dazzler. He's nothing amazingly special. But I think he is better than Castillo at this point. So of course, him out wide and Ibra up top. I think that's our best lineup. We'll see what happens. We'll see if there's any change. Hopefully no more injuries. Hopefully no more COVID cases. But I think that's our best lineup against Inter. What I would like to see us do, though, is if Inter is overrunning us in midfield, which is what they're going to try to do based on the formation that they play, I would like to see us kind of pack in a little bit more tight, so not play as wide as usual. And strangely enough, as much as I would want us to develop a different tactic, either that three-man backline that I was talking about, or the four-man backline with more of a packed midfield, as much as I want, Pioli to develop one of these for situations where the opponents pack the midfield, I don't think we start like that, because we've actually done very well against Inter for the most part. We beat them in leg 1 of Serie A, and we looked good. And honestly, in the Copa match, that game really should have been ours, or at least have been a tie, because there was a lot of stuff that just went on that was not proper. I mean, the Ibrahimovic second yellow, should he have been in that position? No. But was it a yellow? No. So we really shouldn't have taken that one down. Just a lot of questionable stuff, to be honest. So we actually, in my opinion, outplayed Inter twice. Beat him once, of course, and then got unfairly the loss 2-1 the second time. So we outplayed them both times, even with that formation. So I say we stick with it. It's just really about getting your players motivated. And now, late game, if we need something to kind of modify into, if we're up, if we have like a 1 or 2 goal lead, which would be amazing, if that happens, I do think that it would be worth switching formations to where we have a little bit more coverage in the middle. Probably stay with the 4-man back line so it's not a complete swap of formation, but stick with that and then pack the midfield with more. We don't need too many guys up top. If you've got Leao and Ibrahimovic up top and the rest are just packing the midfield, we'll probably be okay, because then you have that outlet of speed and then you have the outlet of Ibrahimovic who can bring the ball down, control it, and dish it out. That's what I think we should do if we do find ourselves with a lead and we're moving into the late game, like the last 20 or so minutes, to preserve our lead, but still keep a very fresh counterattack going with those two players. So those are the games to look forward to. As far as overall how all of our new signings are doing, I really am not too big on Swaliho Mete. I feel like he's been pretty bad almost every single game. He had a decent game, I believe, against Crotone, but worst team in the league, and Kessie was playing amazing, covering so much ground that Mete didn't really have to do anything. I saw that he has a decent long ball cross on him, which seemed very, very solid, but his positioning is off. He's sluggish. His ball control was very, very average. It's just nothing special about the guy at all. Maybe he steps up in the future. Maybe he does something special. I just don't see it. I don't see that raw, natural talent there. I think this was kind of a bad signing. I get it. It's a cheap signing for a loan for the rest of the season, just for depth. I totally understand that. So I won't give Maldini flack saying, oh, this should have never been done. But I just don't think he's a very great player, and I really don't think we're going to be redeeming him at the end of the year. I mean, there's so many better options. Even bringing back Pobega or trying to bring back Pacina, who, while it's a different position, those two players we already have some skin in the game with, and they're far better than Mete. So that's my thoughts on Mete. The thoughts next on Mandzukic is that we just haven't seen enough from him yet. The stuff we have seen from him has been hit or miss, but it's just been so seldom of minutes. I really can't judge the guy. I know that I like the signing. It's a free transfer. It's good as far as that goes. Yes, he does make a hefty salary, but it's definitely worth it to try to have that backup for Ibra. I would like to see how he does against Red Star here and see if he's able to get some good minutes in his legs and how his fitness is. But I like the signing. I just don't know. I can't really rate him yet or give any input since he's played so few minutes. Lastly, and I believe the most important and significant signing that we made on loan was Fikayo Tomori. In my opinion, I feel like he has a ton of potential, a ton of talent. He could be one of the best center backs out there, given enough time to adapt, develop, and fix his weak points. I'm not as massively big on him as everybody is out of the gates because I think he needs more time. I have seen on multiple plays him lose his man when he doesn't have the ball. He is not the best at aerial marking, and I've just seen those little bit of faults there, and so I don't really understand the rave reviews that he's getting from everybody. I think that it's very deceptive because he's fast, and was like, oh my god, he's fast, holy crap. Well, yeah, but playing defense, speed is great, but I can't think of one top defender who's blazing fast right now. Yeah, there might be one out there, but if you look at the best ones out there, you've got Virgil van Dijk, you have got Matthias de Ligt, who I think is fantastic. You got De Vrij from Inter. None of those players have blistering pace. It doesn't matter. They're strong, they're fast enough, their marking is fantastic, their positional sense is fantastic, and they're good at shutting their man down if they're given a task and marking them well inside the box. That's it. Speed is not a factor there. So, while it's great, it's cool that he can cover for his mistakes, I'd much rather have him not have to use his speed as much and say, hey, look, my positioning is rock solid. I'm always where I need to be, or at least most of the time where I need to be. And when I need my speed, I've got it in abundance. That would be your ideal center back. Now, that being said, a lot of reports are saying that, Tomori is a very willing learner. He's a smart guy from all things that I've heard, so I have high hopes for him. And I think that if he can develop those aspects of his game, particularly the focus and the marking off the ball, he's going to be a rock star. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to reserve judgment right now. He's the one that I'm most excited about, but I'm not just going to jump on this bandwagon and say that he's amazing and he's our best center back right now because he's played like a game and a half to 2 games. So he needs more time, but he really could be a solution for the future for us. Let's see how the rest of the season goes, and I'll make my judgment a little bit later. That's pretty much it as far as the new signings go. Just want to give a little wrap up there. Players who are underperforming, overperforming. Overall, I think Donnarumma has been playing amazing the entire season. He's really starting to show his maturity. He's actually starting to show his leadership. And in my opinion, he's probably a little bit better leader than Romagnoli. But for right now, I think we just keep things as is, and we'll reevaluate at the end of the season. Donnarumma has been fantastic this season. Theo has been very, very solid as well. Prior to his injury, Kjaer was a rock star, one of the best in my opinion. And Calabria is the secret hero of this team, as everybody wanted to get rid of him. Oh, he's not that good. He's very average guy. No, Calabria's been amazing, and for some reason we always do this with our Italian talents. We judge them on a harder curve than anybody else, and I'm so glad that we kept Calabria, because he's proving myself right and a lot of fans right, because they could see that this guy bleeds for Milan. Like, when he plays, he gets it, he feels it, he is a Milanista, you can see it. There's a couple players you really, really get that sense from. Ibrahimovic is one of them, Calabria is another, Donnarumma is another. Those three I can say really, really get this team. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm just glad that he was kept over Conti, and he's really proving his worth. So, fantastic job from Calabria this season. He even was awesome in midfield, which was surprising. A more surprising one for me was actually Çalhanoğlu, who stepped up this season big time. He was the definition of average prior to this past season and a half, and I really am impressed with how he stepped up. I feel like the presence of Ibrahimovic and him coming in and instilling a lot of confidence in this team has massively helped out Çalhanoğlu, and he is becoming the player that we thought that we had signed and that we thought he had the potential to be. Yes, he's still got some off games here. I'm hoping that he rebounds, that he doesn't go back into that old Hakan that we had seen for way too long. But he really stepped up this season. And last, of course, but not least, Zlatan Ibrahimovic was a massive signing, probably the biggest signing that we've made over the past several years. And it's funny how bringing in a 38-year-old, I believe at the time that we signed him, changed the entire scope of our season, of our club. It was essentially him and Kjaer, right? You had two adults, two men, not little young kids who were just learning their trade and were quick and tricksy and that's it. No, you had two grown men who had been there, done that, won things, captained teams, one in attack, one in defense, and they changed the whole landscape of this team. So my top performers of the season so far, you've got to give it to Zlatan as my top, Kjaer as my second top, because those two are the leaders that we needed, and I don't believe anybody would be playing as well as they have been without those two. Then you've got to give it to Gigio, you got to give it to Calabria. Kessié and Theo are honorable mentions, of course, and so is Çalhanoğlu, but those are my tops so far. That's pretty much it as far as what I wanted to accomplish today. Just kind of wanted to run through some things, give little updates on the team, my thoughts. We don't need to panic right now. Yes, that was a hard loss to Spezia, but we have to go back to the drawing board. We cannot fret and worry. We just have to keep our belief high, keep that drive and almost that defiance that our team has had, to where when we get scored on this whole season, we have played better. We said, you know what, we're not going to go down to this. We're going to come back. We're going to get the goals we need. That was the first game we didn't do that. Our team looked sluggish and tired. That's the main thing. We can never have those performances without full effort. And so I think that as long as Pioli gets these guys to listen up and Ibrahimovic, has his voice being heard still, we will be fine. Remember, the goal is top 4. Yes, Scudetto is very, very tempting, but there's some really strong teams vying for it. And to be honest, I don't feel safe in top 4. There's some great teams behind us: Atalanta, Roma, Lazio. It's going to be tough. And so I think Milan's probably going to end up second or third, and I'm fine with that. Would it be great if we won the Scudetto? Of course. But I think we're going to end up second or third. I'm totally cool with that. Champions League was the goal. That should be our goal. Then we can take some money and reinvest that into the team in the offseason. So no fret, but there's going to be a massive, massive game coming up. This game against Inter, I cannot state enough. We have to come out strong in this game. It's not just about the result. The result is not going to kill us. It's not going to ruin our season if we lose. It's about the mentality and the mindset we're going to have going into the game, and the mindset we're going to have and the confidence our team will have leaving the game. If we beat Inter, our team is going to be on fire again. I guarantee it. If we lose to Inter, we're going to have to stop ourselves from going into a tailspin. Those are my thoughts. and I will come back, probably try to do this weekly and give a little roundup. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you like this kind of format, this kind of overall longer video where I go over everything that has kind of happened in the week and the things that we're looking forward to. Otherwise, I'll try to come back to you with some player ratings for the next few games this week here. I'll definitely be tuning in for the Inter game, and based on my work schedule, I don't know if I'll be able to tune into the Red Star Belgrade game. Either way, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate everybody who takes the time to listen. If you have any comments or questions, always put them down below. I appreciate every single one of you. I'm just a guy who really enjoys this team and has some opinions on it, and thinks it's kind of fun to share my thoughts on it. I may try to do more of an overall Serie A roundup of the big teams here. Of course, Milan first, but also going to cover some of the big games, big teams too in the future. If that sounds cool, let me know. Take care, everybody, and as always, Forza Milan.